Ever felt like the official story just doesn't add up? Like there's a piece of the puzzle that if you just pulled on it, the whole picture would change? That's what happens when you start digging into the world of Jeffrey Epstein. And in any real investigation, you don't start with the rumors or the headlines. You start with the thing that moves, the thing that shouldn't exist, but does. For Jeffrey Epstein, that thing was the jet. Before the island, before the mountains of money, before all the shocking headlines that filled our screens, there was a plane. It was a Gulfstream, a symbol of extreme wealth and power. But here's where the story first begins to break down. The jet was purchased under a company whose financials didn't align with Epstein's is known income at the time. The specific model he owned, a Gulfstream 4, costs a fortune not just to buy, but to operate. We're talking millions of dollars a year just to keep it in the air. Think about it. Fuel, maintenance, hangar fees, paying pilots and a full crew, even the catering. When you look at the numbers, the logic breaks. The math just doesn't work. But despite this, the jet stayed in the air, flying constantly. Public records like tax filings and business registrations did suggest that Epstein's net worth was high. He was a successful financier, no doubt about it. But was it private dash, jet dash high? The kind of high that allows you to burn through millions in operational costs without a second thought? The evidence suggests no. More importantly, when you look for the actual liquid cash to cover these massive expenses, it's almost completely absent from his known accounts. There was a huge, gaping hole in the finances, a multi-million-dollar gap between what the jet cost to run and what Epstein appeared to earn. Legal filings from the time show no clear, direct source for this funding. So, if he wasn't paying for it, who was? Someone was keeping that jet fueled and ready to go. But the paper trail leading from Epstein's bank accounts just wasn't there. This is where the story gets even more complicated. The jet wasn't just a luxury. It was a hub. It was a connector. It brought together people from completely different worlds. People who, on the surface, had no reason to be connected. We're talking about world-renowned academics, powerful politicians from both sides of the aisle, high-flying Wall Street bankers, A-list celebrities, and Nobel Prize-winning scientists. Think about these distinct social circles, each with its own rules and hierarchies. They were all sharing the same private plane. The flight logs read like a who's who'able influence. What brought them all together on this specific aircraft? And here's an even stranger part of the puzzle. When investigators later spoke to some of these prominent passengers, a surprising number of them claimed they never really knew Epstein at all. They might have been invited by a friend or a colleague or told it was a corporate charter. They boarded a plane, had a conversation, and landed in another city. For them, it was just a flight. But for someone behind the scenes, it was a carefully managed network. The jet was the physical intersection point for people who didn't even know they were part of the same web. While the physical paperwork around the jet's ownership and funding was intentionally sloppy and confusing, the digital trail told a different story. It was precise. It was meticulous. Epstein's private network had deep connections to offshore financial hubs places, notorious for secrecy and complex money laundering operations. Digital forensic analysis revealed payments being routed indirectly through a series of shell corporations. We saw temporary crypto wallets lighting up with huge sums of money just long enough to fund a flight, and then disappearing without a trace. This wasn't someone making it up as they went along. This wasn't improvisation. This was a sophisticated, pre-planned infrastructure designed for one purpose: to keep the jet moving, no questions asked. For years, the media and even law enforcement focused on the passengers. Who was on the plane? What were they doing? Those are important questions, of course. But by focusing only on the people, they missed the bigger mystery, the aircraft itself. No official report, no investigation has ever fully explained what was happening on the flights with no passengers listed at all. There were dozens of them. Flights with no cargo, no human manifest, and no stated purpose. Yet the jet kept moving. It ran on a schedule like a commercial airline. It was always on time, always fueled, always funded. These ghost flights are one of the most chilling parts of the entire story. What was being moved? Where was it going? Something or someone was keeping that plane in the sky. And all the evidence we've uncovered suggests it wasn't Epstein. He may have been the face of the operation, the master of ceremonies, but he wasn't the one pulling the ultimate strings. He was a key, but he wasn't the one who built the lock. The jet was a tool, an asset in a much larger game. In episode 2, we're going to follow the trail to the one person who could have controlled it all. The person with the power to manage every route, every passenger manifest, and every secret flight. The person who truly held the keys to the kingdom. This is the Epstein Dossier, and believe me, the jet is only the beginning. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.